I'd like to welcome you guys to the Analog Circle Podcast Plus Edition Episode 2. I am here again, once again, with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mastino Davis. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you doing, Keon?
I'm doing all right, man. Now, this topic that we were going to cover today is something that you have a lot of, let's say, an opinion on, which is the question that we're posing to you listeners out there as well, but we'll be talking about is, are microtransactions taking the fun out of gaming? Now, we know that this has been a practice for quite some time, usually on the mobile side. If I'm right, Mastino, usually mobile.
Yeah, I think that's probably where the trend was of releasing free games, and then you pay for upgrades and characters you want to play with, and then more gold in order to build things in some of those strategic games. I think that's probably where most of that started from.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting, because you hear about, matter of fact, those games, and those are the ones that actually make the millions upon millions of dollars, like Candy Crush. What's the game that Arnold Schwarzenegger is he's affiliated with? Is that Counter-Strike?
First Strike, I think.
First Strike. Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way, Mastino. That was my bad.
Oh no.
Man. But you hear that these games are making, so much money, even to the point where I think that big publishers like Ubisoft, like Microsoft, different PlayStation games that are being created, different third-party titles, Grand Theft Auto with the GTA Online mode. I think that because of the success of these mobile games, with the money revenue that they're bringing in, I believe that that's trickled down or over into console gaming. Would you think that's a fair assessment, Mastino?
I think, yeah, the console developers are seeing the money being made in the phone market and imitating that. Although we're still paying big dollars for releases of games and then getting microtransactions added on top. That's where I guess my frustration comes in. It's not as though they're giving you a game and then you can pay to improve your character or base or whatever the game revolves around.
Gotcha. So basically, Mastino, if you could have it your way, you would basically want to pay a one-time fee, $5, $8 for the full game and not have to wait, because to my knowledge, some games are on a timer where you have to wait a certain amount of time and then play, and other ones you got to actually pay to get past a certain level. Basically, you would just want them to give you the game, in all of its glory, and then have it so you just have to work to get to the different things that you want in the game to work towards.
As long as everyone's on a fair playing field, if you're playing against someone else, that's all I want. I just want parity when you play games. I don't want a situation where someone's going to drop $200 or $300 to get the best cards or more gold in order to upgrade whatever item they want to upgrade to give them a competitive advantage, where you have to grind maybe for months or even a year to get where they're at, and they can shortcut it. It just takes the fun out of games, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, because I'm an older, gamer. I'm a 38, so I got a little bit of age on me, and I come from that era. I'm sure you do too, Mastino, where it was a situation where basically you just got to the point where you were good at the game. You were good enough at the game to actually beat it. And my goodness, some of the games that we came up on, man, they were glitched like it was no tomorrow. So you had to, get better at the game if you wanted to beat somebody. Like in Street Fighter, it was all about skill. It wasn't about actually having the chance to buy these power-ups or things that would give you an edge. You had to actually earn those things in the game to get that kind of content.
Definitely. You look at maybe like GoldenEye. You had a handful of characters you could pick from, all with a little bit of different play style. but that was it. You didn't have 20 different loadouts that you had to grind for. I mean, COD is one that really took off with, leveling up, getting the better guns, and changing from who's got the best skill to who's grinded the fastest. And for someone like myself, I'm older than you, Keon. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to play up to level 50. I just want to play the game and let my skill, speak for itself. Not, I'm playing against someone that's got, a better gun or better gear and can defeat me because they got more shielding or higher power weapons. It sucks the fun out of it. Now, I understand from a developer standpoint, they're there to make money. That's what they're there for. It's a business. But there should be some kind of parity built into the game that if you got people that are dumping tons and tons of money into something, then have them at a different level. Don't have them compete at someone that's level 10 and they're level 50 and then it's a one-on-one and I get smoked every time. It just sucks all the fun out of it, especially for a game that I paid $60 or, in Halo Wars too. I paid $80 for that to get the early release, and that's a lot of money. Then you got to play against people that are going to be dumping money into microtransactions with game packs to get the best cards.
Now, you brought up something that was very interesting to me, Mastino, pertaining to Halo Wars 2. Now, you were telling me about the live stream that Microsoft had just done. What was that? Yesterday or day before yesterday? Of Halo Wars 2. Now, you said they were pushing. I mean, it seemed like this was their main agenda, was Blitz mode. Now, for the listeners out there that are like myself, that aren't 100% aware of what Blitz mode is, could you please tell us what it is, Mastino?
So Blitz mode is a series of cards that you play. Instead of doing the traditional farming system where you gather resources and then build up your army, you have energy that accumulates slowly, and then the cards have a point system. And the more points a card has, typically that's the best unit, or the more powerful unit, I should say. So it was a 2-hour long commercial for this Blitz mode because people are going to be paying to purchase these card packs in order to get the best cards, in order to make their deck superior to yours, where you'd have to grind and grind and grind in order to unlock these cards. So for the people that want to throw money at it, they're going to be, the best, have the best decks. I don't say the best players, but they'll have the best decks early on. And these packs, I was just looking on Gamer Revolution. They got 3, 10, 23, 47, and 135 packs.
Goodness.
And they go $6, $15, $30, $60, and $140.
Whoa! Are you kidding me?
And there's going to be people dropping $140 to get 135 packs to get the best cards. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about a full-fledged game and then have these microtransactions built in. And it's going to be a moneymaker for these guys. I know it is. It's just, it just sucks the fun out of the game, though, for me, personally.
Wait a minute, Mastino. Wait a minute, brother. So you really think, I mean, like I said, I can tell you listeners, I'm not really, I've never really experienced too many of the microtransactions myself because I don't really usually play those games, which is why it's great to have Mastino on the show because he can speak from that perspective. So I just wanted to get that out there. But do you think, Mastino, people are going to pay $140?
There's going to be some. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it. They know the market. They know what people are going to be dropping. So,
God, dog, that is just. I mean, I'm blown. Now, I have heard on an occasion with not an occasion, but it's a big thing with NBA 2K. They have some kind of points that you can buy, and you got to pay real money for these points. Now, I understand that you can. From my understanding, you can actually earn these in the game, but they also give you the option. I've seen them at Best Buy countless times, the cards themselves, where you can buy these NBA 2K cards, and it's supposed to, I don't know what the points do. I'm taking it that it gives your character better attributes or something like that. But I've heard that they have made a ton of money off of those cards. And this is a NBA game, a game that comes out every single year. And they say that they make, I don't know what the numbers are. I couldn't tell you how much money they're actually bringing in, what the revenue stream of it is. But there are people out there, and I don't know how much they're dropping, but a friend of mine, he's actually into 2K quite a bit, and he's always talking about these points. I don't know how much he spent per se, but he's big on the points, man. And I was looking at this is when I found out it was serious. This is when I knew it was a real thing. It's this YouTube video out there where the girl actually deleted the guy's save, and he just blew a gasket, man. He said, "What the H are you doing? You just erased my game? I can't believe you did that. I spent hundreds of dollars on that game with the cards." And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." He was ready to hit the girl. I said, "Whoa, brother, take it easy, man." But he was so pissed off that she had erased the game. He was like, "Oh, you're gonna give me my money?" So I'm like, golly, it must be a big thing, man. That's when I had realized that 2K has to be making a doggone mint off of this, because like you said, Mastino, somebody out there is going to pay the money, and obviously he paid a lot of dough for it. So I guess you're right. It will be players out there that will spend the money, but God, dog, that's a mint to drop.
Yeah,
man.
It's killing it for, I think, old school video game player. I mean, even new school guys that are playing. It just, you save up your money, you're working to play for, pick up whatever games for the year as they roll out, and then you got to deal with this. It just, it sucks out the competition games. It just, I don't know, it's killing it. I mean, and like you said, there are people that are going to pay it, but for me, it just ruins the experience. I picked up Rainbow Six Siege on Xbox. They had you can grind it, and I think it's 25,000 gold for their operators, the ones that they released the first set. 25,000 for someone like myself that doesn't play 8 hours a day, it takes a little while to build up. So I ended up spending, I think, another $20. I think I got 8 operators. Let's say 6 or 8 operators. $20. Okay, that's not bad. Mm-hmm. They just released 2 new operators. It was $26 for 2 of them.
Oh gosh!
And I'm thinking, wow, I only paid $30 for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's getting out of hand. I mean, if it was like $5 an operator, you're like, okay, well, $5, that's cool. But 13 for a game that's over a year old, and you paid 30 for it. I don't know. It just seems like it's gouging the consumer.
I would definitely agree with that. Now, I think that now I want to take it a step further, Mastino, and get your opinion on this as well. Now, if it wasn't, in your opinion, if it wasn't for the situation with GameStop, where, and this is not me putting an X on GameStop, I think they've had enough X's put on them, by their own doing. But do you think that if it wasn't for GameStop in the secondhand market per se, where people can go and they have the option to get the used copy of the game. Now, me and you both know, and I'm sure all of the listeners out there know, that these companies, they don't get any money off of that transaction. So do you think that to a certain extent that this was the reasoning behind it? Now, I understand some of those prices are way too aggressive to even be considered to be looking out for the consumer or anything like that. And like you said, we both know that they're in it for the money. It's a business. But do you think that if it wasn't for the situation with GameStop having a lock on these, or, just regular sellers that can sell their own games, on eBay or whatever, do you think that this would be a practice that the industry would have adopted and be so aggressive with the pricing?
I see digital format is increasing in sales. This is an article from 2015 on PlayStationLifestyle.net. From 2010, I'll just give you the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Total digital format, 29% to 71% for physical. And then it goes 2011 is 32%, 2012 41%, 2013 47%, 2014 52%.
Oh my
so
gosh.
the trend is actually going towards digital format. GameStop is going to be out the door in another couple of years. I think they're just going to have to change something they're doing because physical is going out.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the ability to have the game, well, here's the issue: you can't play from discs any longer, so you have to download the game when you buy the physical copy.
That's very true.
If I can get a pre-order and the game's already loaded at launch, I'm playing immediately. Or sometimes on pre-orders, what they're doing now, it's Halo War 2. I get to play 4 days early.
Mm-hmm.
So the game's downloaded, ready to go 4 days early. 9 p.m. comes, I'm playing. Oh, well, except for the update I had to do. But, yeah, I don't think that was the cause. I think the mobile market showed that you could make a bunch of money on transactions that people that are maybe even addicted. Maybe this is becoming a personality disorder issue where people have to be the best and they're going to pay to win. And they're playing off people's weaknesses in order to do that. I just think it's a disservice to the gaming community because, $80 for Halo Wars 2, I go in and someone's already dropped $300 on cards. Well, I can't be competitive at that. I mean, I can try, but it takes a lot of the fun because there's no parity.
That's very true, man. And that was also a very good point as well, as far as the digital specs that you gave. I said specs, man. That's not the word I even wanted to say.
Yeah.
Stats, thank you. Man, oh man, too much console talk. God, dog. But, yeah, so do you think that, daggone, I hate to think that it's greed, but like we both said just a couple minutes ago, we know that it's about the money. Money is the bottom line, but man, go ahead, Mastino, go ahead.
I think it goes to the type of player. There's certain games, especially this is more rampant in PC gaming than it is in console because of the limitations. But even it's happened in consoles as well with aim bots and that kind of thing. But it's the type of person that would cheat in order to have the best stats at the end of the game, the most kills. They want that feeling of I'm the best regardless of their skill level. And I think it caters to those that may not be as good of a player that, hey, I can throw money at this and now I got the best stuff. And now I'm able to win more than I lose. And I think it's catering to that type of mentality of it's just a different style, and I just don't care for it. I mean, the games that you and I played, if you had a buddy come over and play on your console, the best player won. It wasn't because of what they bought. It was just the skills were brought to the table, and you walked away, and you made fun of them if they lost, and that's how it was done. But today, that's eroding. I just don't see it.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like for at least certain games that grinding mentality, or just really having to work for it, man. I mean, this is what you got to work with, and that's what you want. You got to grind to get it. It seems like that is really, it's dwindling. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but like you said, Mastino, very good points were brought out where we can see that the trend is there, and it's very, very strong, especially with Halo Wars 2 in that blitz mode. $140 is just absurd. That is just, I don't know if I've ever heard of a microtransaction being that expensive. That is like almost enough to buy a used Xbox One.
Yep.
I mean, if you put it in
perspective.
Crazy.
It's so crazy.
Oh my gosh. So go ahead, Mastino, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if you jump back to if you can find it on YouTube, whatever, the streaming event, man, it was like a big commercial on Blitz mode. How great Blitz mode was, and all the other game modes were completely ignored because this is going to be their bread and butter. I think the only thing that's going to stop this, if consumers just say we're done, we're not going to pay into your little microtransaction game, or we're not going to play those modes at all. We'll play the modes that are competitive without being able to pay to win. It's going to be a trend it's going to continue because there are those people that are just going to pay it. Even though I think a good majority of players would agree, it takes away a lot of the fun.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, Mastino. But, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. So I got one more question for you. Just on this topic. Now, we know that game development, that is, it's very expensive, man. I mean, you talk about how much it cost back in the day, like in the 80s and the mid to late 90s to make, well, I can't even say that because Shenmue was doggone expensive as ever. So we'll just say the 80s into the early 90s, part of the 90s. Game development, I don't know exactly how much a game cost back then to develop, but I know it couldn't have been millions upon millions of dollars. With these budgets now today, we know that, what was it, Grand Theft Auto was over 200 million? Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, cost $200 million to create, which was, that was the highest price of a game. That was the most costly game at the time. I believe it was a $200 million budget on that game. And I mean, I could be wrong, but for some reason that's what's stuck in my mind. But do you think that because of the cost, this increasing cost of game development, do you think this is the only way that they can possibly make up for that cost because of the situation where, maybe a game doesn't go platinum, it doesn't sell over 1 million copies. It sells only a certain amount, and because of it not selling so well, do you think that this is kind of a vehicle to possibly cushion, that cost and try to get some of the money back?
Oh, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I mean, you look at Grand Theft Auto, it made it generated more than 800 million in revenue.
Oh my God.
They sold 11.21 million copies. So,
goodness.
Did they make their money back? I'd say so. And they released some pretty good updates for their online that you didn't have to pay for.
Yes, they did.
So what it boils down to is development companies producing quality games and giving back to the consumer, hey, we made a ton of money. We're going to release some of this stuff for you guys that bought into our game. And when 6 comes out, it'll probably make even more money because of what they did in 5. So I think, the development cycles are so long. I know these guys transfer from studio to studio. You get different managers in different departments. You look at a game like Scalebound, they just scrapped after spending a lot of time on it. So I don't know what the answer is. Is it lack of putting out quality product? Ubisoft is notorious for putting out unfinished product, and we still buy their games. I still do because I want to play them. But
Mastino, and I didn't mean to cut you off, brother,
yeah.
But I think you're actually on to something, in my opinion. I think that, that is the one thing about Rockstar. Say what you want about them, back in the day, them being one of the most controversial gaming companies at the time. It's one thing that's guaranteed about Rockstar. They have always made a solid product. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like it because it didn't go in the direction that they wanted it to, but Max Payne 3 was amazing to me. It was a wonderful story that had some twists and turns in it that I did not see coming. The bullet time mechanic, they amped it up even more so. It was just a solid game. And I only bring up Max Payne because it's it's not GTA. You know, everybody knows Rockstar's, you know, for GTA and, of course, Red Dead Redemption, which was another amazing game. And Rockstar usually sells millions of units. And I think that it's two things that really separate Rockstar from everybody else. One is their attention to detail. I mean, some of the most minuscule details you can find in GTA 5, like where I was talking about Mafia 3, where some of the cutscenes, he would be back in his default clothes, you know, and then other scenes you would see him in the outfit that you changed into. No matter what the scene is with GTA, the clothes always change. It's never a situation where you have to do a mission and it has to be night. It could happen during the day. I mean, it's just amazing detail that they put into their games. Go ahead, Mastino.
Let me correct my stats. I was looking at Wikipedia. That was within 24 hours. They generated 800 million. They've sold over 70 million copies.
Yes, they did, Mastino. Go ahead, man.
And it nearly hit 2 billion with a B. $billion.
Goodness gracious.
So.
Goodness. And that's since what, 2013 or 14?
Let me see when this came out. Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, September 2013. Game was released September 17, 2013.
Goodness. If that's not a phenomenon, I don't know what to call it, because you're right. They said that game sold more, I believe it was last year, than it did its first year. It was like, well, I don't know about that, but I know they were saying basically the sales of the game have increased over time. You know, which is something I have never seen a game do before. Never. Usually within the first couple months, a game falls off of the NPD like, 2 months later, maybe 3 tops, depending on if you're a Call of Duty or a 2K or a Madden. You know, anything outside of those games, they usually fall off pretty quickly. But for GTA to have, stood the test of time, that has to be a record. It has to be. Somewhere in gaming, that has to be a record. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about with Rockstar, which to me makes them different from other, third-party developers, is the fact that they don't run their franchises into the ground. And what I mean by that is, you get a Grand Theft Auto this year, you won't see another one for another 4 to 5 years. You know, it's not one of those things where every year they bring out the same doggone franchise, the same IP every year. They actually give it time, let it bake in the oven, and really put that fine shine polish on it that really does separate their games from many other third-party developers, in my opinion.
And that's a model in which, and it may have to also, depending on the type, it's an action-adventure game. So the online part has some competition, and there are microtransactions within the game that you can purchase, but the game stands on itself and having a good time without doing that. You're gonna pick up money along the way, and like you said, they take their time, they release a good game. It's a quality game, and quality games are going to last. And they keep releasing more content for it, free of charge to the consumer. It's a great model, and with microtransactions for those that want to play that way. So if you want to throw money at it, you can, but it doesn't affect the way the game plays. At least from what I've experienced, I'm not a huge Grand Theft Auto online guy, so. But just playing the story on the single player version of it is a great game.
Oh, I loved it, man. I thought it was great. It was really good. And I think, and they're always innovating something. The thing that I loved about GTA 5, which was such a departure from the other previous titles in the series or in the franchise, was the fact that you were able to play as 3 characters. I don't think I've ever, outside of a RPG, been able to play as 3 active characters whenever I've wanted to, which was something just amazing to see.
Yeah.
It was just something I had never seen before. But yeah, man, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say on this topic, Mastino?
No, we'll see what moves forward, what the trend will be. I don't think we're gonna move forward in the industry without having them. I think it's been proven to show that they make a lot of money off of it. It just, for the old school guy, it ruins a lot of competitive play for me, especially for people that don't have a lot of time to grind out to get to that point of, level of people that want to throw money at it.
I agree, man. I agree. Yeah, my personal opinion, I'm never a fan of actually paying to be good, to get better. I think that you should, figure out the game, figure out the mechanics, figure out, how to actually compete and do well instead of paying your way to victory, But with that, hey, if any of you listeners out there would like to chime in on this topic, definitely feel free to email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Or if you want to make it quick and you don't feel like typing, like I don't feel like typing a lot of the time, you can actually call the show, voice your opinion. It'll be played on the podcast. You can reach the show at 443-261-4607. Mastino, any last words, brother?
No, it was fun thank you for having me on the show. It was fun, good time. I always have an opinion about something. I'm not always right, but I always speak my mind.
Hey, neither am I. I'm not always right either. Oh, man, that's awesome, though, man. But as always, brother, thank you so much for being on the show and taking out your personal time to be on. It's greatly appreciated, man.
Thanks for having me.